is Madison Adams, and I take an antidepressant every single day. So I've been on an antidepressant for coming up on 2 years. Went through a rough time, and I was like, something's not right. So I started going to counseling about 2 years ago, and I was getting a little better, but I still wasn't at my best. So I was like, I'm gonna give medication a shot. So I went to the doctor, and she prescribed me one type of medicine. I was on that for 3 days. So it's been kind of trial and error over these past 2 years, and then I finally found one that works. And I feel like myself now, so that's fun.
When I decide on when to prescribe a medicine, obviously counseling is the first step. Second step is how well are you doing with the coping skills and exercises that the counseling is giving you. Are you doing everything like they've asked you to, like you're supposed to? And if you are, is it helping? And how well is it helping? Are you sleeping at night? Are you getting up in the morning for classes? All of those things play a factor in deciding when I prescribe medicines for others.
Without medicine, if we're doing scales from 1 to 10s, my days are 3s and 4s, and with medicine, my days are 7s and 8s, with a couple 9s and 10s thrown in there here and there. I do feel like anxiety and depression is looked down upon, especially in the Christian world. I've had lots of people, even people that I'm really close to, tell me to suck it up or just pray about it, it'll get better. And actually it's something that's wrong in my brain that I can't even control.
So I think that's a big stigma in our society is depression and anxiety a faith issue or a medical issue? And truly, it is a medical issue. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain. And, you hear sometimes from different people, if you would just pray more, or if you would just follow the Lord closer, then everything will, your problems would go away and you won't feel sad or you wouldn't feel anxious. But the reality of it is that's not true. The reality is actually pastors are the number one group that are on antidepressants in this country. So that should, first of all, show you one thing. But it's a true chemical imbalance in the brain, and that's nothing that we can fix. And I feel like the Lord has given us the knowledge to develop the right tools to help that.
Prior to teaching at Anderson, I worked in clinical practice for quite a while, and a lot of work that I did in the waning years of my clinical work was I did some work in churches, a lot of volunteer work, and worked with a lot of women in particular that had anxiety and depression. And honestly, it doesn't look very different in the Christian community as it does in the general population. I think sometimes particularly when it comes to anxiety, sometimes the issues that are focused on in terms of worry tend to be things that are related to one's faith. So it can sometimes be a dreaded, what if I do something and God stops loving me? So I think sometimes the focus of the symptoms can be a little different from a Christian community to just the general population. But symptom-wise, in terms of diagnosis, clinically speaking, they're the same. And actually sometimes I know of pastors who actually tell their congregants from the pulpit, you don't need to take medication, you just need more faith. You need to pray more, you need to trust God more, so stop with the medication. And I think that is a very dangerous message, because absolutely medication for people with depression and anxiety, depending on the ideological factors, what's causing the depression or the anxiety, if it has a heavily biological basis, if it's related to chemical imbalances, for example, absolutely the medication can help stabilize those chemicals so that someone's mood improves and concentration comes back, motivation comes back in the case of depression. Or with anxiety, someone is not plagued with this excessive worry and this fear about dreaded future events. And once those feelings stabilize, now that person can perhaps dig in via counseling.
For anyone that's noticing signs of depression, I would say go to counseling and don't be afraid to try medicine. There's nothing wrong with you. Something's wrong with your brain and it can be fixed. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help has been one of the hardest and most life-giving things I've done.